NFL Daily here on Chat Sports. Cam Rogers alongside Tom Downey. We've got all of the latest NFL rumors as well. So let's get into those. We'll start things off with Joe Thomas. Is he retiring, Tom? It's news. We're giving it 4 Goodell heads.
Yeah, Joe Thomas's time is over. He is calling it a career. I would not be surprised if he gets a job in the broadcast booth in the very near future. I feel bad for Joe Thomas. The Browns were maybe just about to actually be good. And he says, you know what, I just can't do it anymore. So disappointing there for Joe Thomas, but heck of a career. He is a Hall of Famer despite playing for a very bad NFL team.
Such a premier left tackle, too. Really solid career for him.
Just consistently one of the best, if not the best, in the NFL. Hell of a career.
You saw the 4 Goodell heads. What do those mean? 4 Goodell heads means it's happening, it's news. 3 Goodell heads were somewhat, buying into it, pretty likely. 2 heads, something simmering, firmly in that rumor category. 1 Goodell head, little truth to it, not really buying into it. 0 Goodell heads, fake news, no fake news to report here on NFL Daily. Let's get to note number 2 now. Jordy Nelson to the Oakland Raiders. What's the latest with that, Tom? We're giving this 2 Goodell heads, something's simmering.
Well, I think that this could end up going down because the Raiders seem to really want Jordy Nelson, and they do have Edgar Bennett, one of his former coaches, now is the Oakland Raiders wide receivers coach. It was rumored, by the way, that Derek Carr met Jordy Nelson at the airport. I don't know if he had flowers, but it does sound like Derek Carr very much, wanted to get Jordy Nelson on the roster. If that happens, by the way, might end up being the case that Michael Crabtree is done in Oakland after all.
Bye-bye, Michael Crabtree. 2 Goodell heads for Jordy Nelson, possibly going to the Raiders. It had been rumored that Derek Carr is awaiting at the airport for Jordy to come on over to Oakland, so we'll see about that. Let's stick with the Raiders here. Note number 3, are the Raiders working on a trade for Vontaze Burfict? Your thinking faces on.
It was firmly in the rumor category. That's why it's only 2 heads. There was a report from an Ohio CBS affiliate that the Raiders were trying to get Burfict. We're giving it 2 heads because I don't know if it's actually going to happen because I'd be a little bit surprised if the Bengals moved on from him. But it makes sense for Oakland's perspective. Man, do they need a linebacker. Paul Gunther, former Bengals DC, holds the same role with the Oakland Raiders now. I think it'd be a big addition for Oakland. I don't know if it'll actually go down, but it would certainly fill a big need for the Raiders, Cam. And I think I don't know who said it best in the office, but a classic Oakland Raider right there, going way back there.
All right, so 2 Goodell heads on that one. Let's go to note number 4 here. Do the Cowboys want defensive lineman Ndamukong Suh, who's now a free man? He's been officially released by the Miami Dolphins. 2 Goodell heads on this one. Apparently something big is happening, Tom?
Well, yeah, there was a report from one of the Cowboys reporters that the Cowboys were trying to do something big. They did try to go get Sammy Watkins. When I hear something big, I think, oh, that means Earl Thomas for the Cowboys. Well, maybe now it means Tyrann Mathieu, who we'll get to in a little bit. There was a report from Diane Rossini who said the Cowboys wanted to add Ndamukong Suh, but then we had ESPN on ESPN Crime. Josina Anderson says no, they don't. Clarence Hill says no, they don't. Maybe this is actually just a 1-star here. But people are most certainly talking. I could see the Cowboys wanting to get Suh if Jerry Jones does want to do something big. Suh certainly qualifies there. The issue for Dallas, and this is why Dallas has not made a big offseason move yet, they don't have much cap space. Their big move was franchise tagging DeMarcus Lawrence. As of right now, they got pretty much no cap space. They can fill up a bunch of it, by the way. They can restructure Travis Frederick. They can cut guys like Cole Beasley, Orlando Scandrick, and James Hanna, and get closer to $20 million, maybe $20 million if they cut Dez Bryant as well, which has been rumored as an option. So they could get the money, but if the Cowboys do something big, it's kind of all they're doing in the offseason. That's their one big move, and then it's all about the NFL draft. I know that a lot of Cowboys fans...
Everybody's commenting, Tom.
The Cowboys fans want something to happen. If you guys have been watching the Cowboys Report here on Chat Sports, we've told you for weeks now, don't expect Dallas to do anything big.
Okay.
But they have at least been trying to. So I don't think it makes the most sense. It would also likely result in David Irving leaving. But it is something worth monitoring. I could see the Cowboys wanting to get a guy like Suh because Jerry Jones likes war daddies, and he'd be a big boost for that front four.
All right, so there you go. 2 Goodell heads on Ndamukong Suh to the Dallas Cowboys. How about a former Raider in Sebastian Janikowski? Is he visiting the Los Angeles Chargers? Could he be signing with them? We're giving this 3 Goodell heads. We find it fairly likely that he will sign there. The Chargers need help.
Chargers badly need a kicker, and Seabass doesn't want to call it a career. Let's move that far away.
Yeah.
And is this blasphemy for an Oakland fan to see Janikowski in a Chargers uniform?
It's pretty darn close, Tom.
Is that like disowning? I mean, the Raiders are the ones who did not bring him back. So,
true.
I am curious what happens here. I think he'd be a good fit for LA because they really need a kicker. Like I know that a need at kicker is a weird thing to hear, but it's very true for the Chargers because they got to get help.
You don't hear it unless it's very much a need.
Just like a long snapper.
And for the Chargers, that is the case. We're giving it 3 Goodell heads for Janikowski to LA. How about the Lions? What's the latest with Eric Ebron? Well, the Lions have cut Eric Ebron, so this is 4 Goodell heads. They've been trying to shop him a little bit for the last few months, really. He's been part of rumors for a long time. Ebron now a free man, only 24 years old, Tom, so somebody out there is going to take a chance on a tight end that has some promise and playing in a position that's very shallow, let's face it.
I think someone's going to sign him. We mentioned this earlier in the offseason. 8.25 was too high for a guy like Eric Ebron. But if you're a team that needs a tight end, I think it makes sense. You can get him for cheaper. That he's still young. He can still be a playmaker in the passing game. He's very inconsistent, has never become the guy the Lions hoped they were going to get.
Sure.
They really struggle with first-round tight ends, but maybe just stop doing it altogether. But I think he'll find a nice home. If I'm Seattle, he's a guy that I have interest in because you need a tight end to replace Jimmy Graham.
Austin Seferian-Jenkins, by the way,
Yes,
visiting with
visiting
Seattle
with
as well. So they're keeping their options open, the Seahawks are, because of that void left by Jimmy Graham. Let's get to news and rumor number 7 here. The Baltimore Ravens, yes, they have cut Jeremy Maclin. 4 Goodell heads on this one, a move that I think really wasn't all that shocking. The Ravens are strapped for salary cap space here. Jeremy Maclin was not very good last season, did not have good chemistry with Joe Flacco. Maclin was hurt for much of the season as well. 40 receptions in 2017 is not what you want to see. He showed some flashes, but he's not a game breaker. He's not a wide receiver number 1, and the Baltimore Ravens were in a position where they had to free up some space.
The gritty Danny Woodhead was also cut by the Baltimore Ravens.
The gritty Danny Woodhead.
Look, you save $5 million and you go spend it on Ryan Grant. I think I might have preferred Jeremy Maclin to Ryan Grant.
Okay.
I'm just saying. I know that Maclin was not the same player we've seen in years past, but I think that I'd rather have him than Ryan Grant. So he'll find interest somewhere. He's no longer peak Eagles and Chiefs Jeremy Maclin, but I think he can still be a reliable number 2 or worst case number 3 receiver for you.
All right, so apparently the Vikings might not be done with additions here. So could they be signing Sheldon Richardson? We're giving this 2 Goodell heads. Something's going on with this one here, Tom. And Richardson, look, I mean, he's probably going to go to the Jets. Let's face it. He wants to go back to Todd Bowles, but the Vikings are inquiring about him.
Well, I think everyone's like, oh, yeah, they signed Kirk Cousins. They're out of cap space. The Vikings can still make some moves if they want to, try and get another good player. And Sheldon Richardson would fill up a need at the 3 technique spot. You got to figure Shreve Floyd. Unfortunately, his career is over. His, being on the roster would actually free up almost $7 million in addition to what they currently have, so that they could afford a guy like Sheldon Richardson. And if that's the case, it's a really good Vikings team that's already incredibly talented. I think that would set up very well for Minnesota. But the Jets and the Seahawks as well still want to keep a guy like Sheldon Richardson, who, of course, Seattle traded for before this year started.
All right, and then finally, the Arizona Cardinals have indeed cut Tyrann Mathieu, safety there, the Honey Badger. It's 4 Goodell heads, and we've got a big-time player now on the open market, Tom.
I'm going to read off the list of teams that will have some interest in Tyrann Mathieu.
Here we go.
In alphabetical order, the Atlanta Falcons, the Baltimore Ravens, Buffalo Bills, Carolina Panthers, Chicago Bears, Cincinnati Bengals, Browns, Cowboys, Broncos, Lions, Packers, Texans, Colts, Jags, Chiefs, Chargers, Rams, Dolphins, Vikings, Patriots, Saints, Giants, Jets, Raiders, Eagles, Steelers, Niners, Seahawks, Bucks, Titans, and Redskins. Every team but the Arizona Cardinals, he has a lot of interest, Cam. Every NFL team, and we saw it in the comment section, everyone wants to get Mathieu. And frankly, I totally get why. Because this dude is a stud. The Cardinals didn't even save that much money by releasing him. I know he has an injury history, If you're a team that needs a safety, you are like, oh yeah, can we get Mathieu? Because he can play safety, he can play nickel, he can play basically that hybrid linebacker spot. I can't wait to see where he ends up. There are a lot of teams that are going to go try and get him. I see a lot of comments about the Cowboys. They make sense there if they can free up the money to afford him. He'd be a great fit. Keep an eye on two other teams in particular, both New York squads. Jets, Todd Bowles, of course, the connection there, that he can play nickel corner there. The Giants, as well, as you mentioned, Cam, here, they have their former DC, James Betcher, there. Yep. So I think that makes sense there as well. You're going to see a lot of teams interested in Tyrann Mathieu. I think the Houston Texans are also a team to watch. They've got the cap space and the need. Every team is going to try to end up getting Tyrann Mathieu in terms of the difference is who could pay him the most.
So Arizona,
or close to the most.
Not saving a lot of money by cutting Tyrann Mathieu. They did try to restructure the contract, Tom. That obviously did not work out. Would you say this cut was symbolic? Somewhat like what the Cowboys should do with Dez Bryant?
You're trying to rile me up.
Symbolic cuts.
Cutting Dez is stupid because the Cowboys cannot properly replace him, and the Cardinals got worse by cutting him. And I don't think $5 million is enough. I know that they're worried about the injury, and there was a lot of guarantee money that was about to be locked in. That's why the Cardinals partially cut him, because of the injury concerns and because they don't use cities the same way under Steve Wilkes' defense as other teams do. But I disagree with you. I don't think this was a symbolic cut. I think they're trying to save some money because they got to go pay Sam Bradford $20 million.
True. That's fair.
And I don't think they're going to use him in the same way that it makes sense to pay him this amount of money.
Mike Glennon's signing with the Cardinals eventually as well. So Tom just laughs at that.